हेलो हेलो। हेलो 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 हेलो। ओके। हेलो। So good morning everyone. The students who are attending the class online, mark your attendance. So let's start the class. Right? चलिए शुरू करते हैं. So as we are discussing the foreign policy of prime ministers in India, Indian foreign policy through prime ministers, and we have started discussing the Gujarat doctrine, right? Any doubt from the Gujarat doctrines? Anyone? Right? So we have written challenges, we have written advantages, right? And we have understand what is Gujarat doctrine, what is basis of. ठीक है. तो relevance part is left ना. Relevance part हमने नहीं लिखा था, right? We have done achievements, we have done challenges, right? And we have seen the principles of Gujarat doctrine, right? Now write down the relevance, then we will start the our next, that is foreign policy under Prime Minister Modi, Narendra Damodar Das Modi. चलिए 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 चलिए. So under this, now we are going to relevance, whether it is relevance or not. गुड मॉर्निंग. ठीक है. गुजराल डॉक्ट्रिन हमने स्टार्ट किया था. गुजराल डॉक्ट्रिन्स के प्रिंसिपल्स कंसेप्ट क्लियर थे, राइट? सिर्फ रिलेवेंस बचा, वो रिलेवेंस लिख लेते हैं. तो लिखिए रिलेवेंस ऑफ गुजराल डॉक्ट्रिन। आज आप लोग लेट हैं। चलिए कोई नहीं, ट्राई टू बी इन टाइम। तो फर्स्ट रिलेवेंस, फर्स्ट रिलेवेंस अलाइंड विथ इंडियाज फॉरेन पॉलिसी। हाँ लिख लीजिए। हमने अचीवमेंट कर लिया था, क्रिटिसिज्म, चैलेंजेस, प्रिंसिपल सब कर लिया था गुजराल डॉक्ट्रिन के, सिर्फ रिलेवेंस बची थी, हम रिलेवेंस लिख रहे हैं, ठीक है। तो फर्स्ट पॉइंट इन द रिलेवेंस इज अलाइंड विथ इंडियाज फॉरेन पॉलिसी। Write down the point that India's neighborhood first policy, India's neighborhood first policy relevance of गुजराल डॉक्ट्रिन। हमने लास्ट क्लास में गुजराल डॉक्ट्रिन शुरू किया था, ठीक है। So we are writing relevance of Gujaral doctrine. The first point under relevance is aligned with the India's foreign policy, right? And we are writing a point under that India's neighborhood first policy is closely aligned with Gujaral doctrine. India's neighborhood first policy is closely aligned with Gujaral doctrine. ठीक है, clear? This is the first relevance. Write on the second. Build trust. This is your first class ना मैम, आप ये लिख लीजिए बिकॉज दिस इज अ कंटिन्यूएशन ऑफ द लास्ट क्लास। इसके बाद जो टॉपिक कर रहे हैं ना दैट विल बी स्टार्टिंग, तो वो समझ में आएगा, बस जस्ट राइट डाउन दैट। So second relevance is build trust, means the India has to build its trust and that is going on still on, right? Right on. So being a dominant economy, second relevance is build trust. So being a dominant economy in the region, comma, making unilateral concession, इधर ही बैठ जाइए ना, आगे ही बैठ जाइए, ओके। बीइंग अ डोमिनेंट इकोनॉमी इन द रीजन, comma, making unilateral concession can help build trust and regional cooperations, can help build trust and regional cooperations. आप लास्ट क्लास में थे नहीं, वी हैव डन अ गुजराल डॉक्ट्रिन, ठीक है। दिस पॉइंट इज क्लियर। मेकिंग यूनिलैटरल कंसेशंस कैन हेल्प एंड बिल्ड ट्रस्ट एंड रीजनल कोऑपरेशंस, राइट। गुजराल डॉक्ट्रिन की पॉलिसी थी इफ द नेबर्स वुड मूव वन स्टेप वी शुड मूव अ yard, without in returns we should help them, so this will build a trust inside them, ठीक है। so this is second relevance. Now next third relevance is to secure cooperation of government, to secure cooperation of government against, to secure cooperation of government against non-state actors, non-state actors, non-state actors किसे कह सकते हैं हम? नहीं नहीं नहीं, इस रेस्पेक्टिव में इसमें क्या लिखा है आपने? कॉपरेशंस ऑफ गवर्नमेंट अगेंस्ट नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स, टेररिज्म, ड्रग ट्रैफिकिंग, ये सब नॉन स्टेट एक्टर हैं जो इनफिल्ट्रेशंस करते हैं और इंटरनल मैटर्स में अफेयर करते हैं, राइट? तो उसके अगेंस्ट में द स्टेट कैन गेन अ कोऑपरेशंस अगेंस्ट देम, ठीक है? सो राइट डाउन द गवर्नमेंट टू गवर्नमेंट कोऑपरेशंस कैन improve, government to government cooperations improve in dealing with emerging threat, in dealing with emerging threat, emerging threat from a non-state actors like, from non-state actors, emerging threat from non-state actors like terrorism, drug trafficking, infiltration, and so on. Infiltration, so is illegally trying to infiltrate in a country, come into the country illegally without documents, and they are trying to migrate, illegal migrant infiltrations, right? So this is to secure cooperations of government, right? Next relevance is, fourth relevance, neutralize anti-India rhetoric. Neutralize anti-India rhetoric. What do you mean by that? Rhetoric नहीं, प्रोपेगेंडा नहीं. जैसे अभी रिसेंटली एग्जांपल अगर आप देखें, लाइक हाउ गेटिंग न्यूट्रलाइजिंग इट, दैट इन Canada or in Britain or UK, the Indian embassies were attacked through the Khalistan, right? Khalistanis who want to, and this is anti, whenever any country want to malign the reputations of India through speeches, protest, dialogue, so India through cooperations with that country can neutralize that. उनको रोकिए, इंडिया के अगेंस्ट में वो ऐसे स्पीच यूज नहीं कर सकते, इंडिया के अगेंस्ट में ऐसे डायलॉग यूज नहीं कर सकते. तो ये भी हेल्प कर रहा है टू न्यूट्रलाइज द एंटी इंडिया रेथोरिक, मीन्स डायलॉग, स्पीच डायलॉग. इंडिया के अगेंस्ट में बहुत लोग नारे लगा रहे हैं, भाषण दे रहे हैं, इंडिया ऐसा कर रहा है, माइनॉरिटीज को यहाँ पर ये है, इतना ये रहा है. तो दिस विल malign द reputations of India at the international level, yes or no? कि जैसे अभी देखिए in this US and India, after the India and US agreement or meeting of an Indian Prime Minister with US President, the former President of USA, Barack Obama, has made a statement regarding the India, कि there the minorities were being treated unequally. So that is an anti-India rhetoric, trying to malign the reputations of India. Yes or no? समझ रहे हैं आप? तो इन सब को भी कव करने में through this policy, because it has built a trust, or India is helping them with all their infrastructure and everything, so it will gain a help from the country to suppress them or neutralize them, ताकि इससे relations क्या हो, खराब ना हो. The relation should not go vain, yes or no? That should be improved. Anti-India rhetoric, neutralizing anti-India rhetoric. जैसे पाकिस्तान में हो रहा हो, कश्मीर को लेकर के नारेबाजियों के, कश्मीर में बहुत ये हो रहा है, प्रोवोक करना इंडिया के अगेंस्ट में किसी को. So this will help. Through this this policy, India can neutralize them, asking the state to take actions against them, or the state in which these incidents were happening, जहां पर ये हो रहा है, so the state will take an actions कि आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते. This will hamper the relations of India and the neighboring or any country. So this is a relevance. Through this cooperation through Gujarat Doctrine, India has built a trust, and on the basis of trust, the other nations will try to suppress them or neutralize those who are involved in malign the reputations of India. अभी रिसेंट एग्जाम्पल में हम लोग खालिस्तान मूवमेंट का देख सकते हैं ना अपने न्यूज़पेपर, अगर इफ यू आर फॉलोइंग द न्यूज़पेपर यू हैव सीन कि कैसे कनाडा में अभी रिसेंटली लास्ट वीक ही एम्बेसी के आगे जाकर के उन्होंने फिर तोड़फोड़ की है। कुछ समय पहले ब्रिटेन में हुआ था, ये फ्लैग उतार दे वहाँ के एम्बेसी एंड एवरीथिंग। यस और नो? तो इस टाइप के स्टेटमेंट्स और इस टाइप के डायलॉग जो भी मतलब इंडिया अगेंस्ट में है, दैट कैन बी कर्व्ड और न्यूट्रलाइज with the help, because India has built a good reputations with them and the corporations. Is this clear? Any doubt? नहीं? चलिए, तो this is neutralizing anti-India rhetoric. Now the next relevance explanations is simple. हाँ यही है, you can write this whenever any, आप लिख लीजिए in your own terms that whenever any organizations or any individual who tried to malign the reputation or status of India, whenever any organizations or individual malign, do you understand the malign meaning of malign? समझते हैं? गंदा करना, destroy करना reputations का, right? That is malign, right? So whenever any organization or individual malign the reputations of India through dialogue or speech, India with the cooperation of that government can neutralize them. India with the cooperations with that government means हाँ where it is happening, जहाँ पर ये हो रहा है उनके साथ कॉपरेट करके उसको then India can neutralize it. With that country can neutralize it, may neutralize it. आपने क्लास के बाद you have got 2 days. Have you gone through the last lectures? Yes or no? Honestly. Which exams? Okay. But yeah, this should be there ना, ये हमेशा होगा ही, but you need to cope up with the class. ये तो क्या होगा फिर क्लास में आप जैसे 2 दिन की गैप हो गई, if you have just not gone through the class lecture, so it will be again you will face same difficulties to understand, to link the topic. So it is advisable you will take around hardly half an hour or one to revise the class, और नहीं तो फिर वो क्या पाइल अप होता चला जाएगा, नहीं करेंगे तो लास्ट में पूरा का पूरा टॉपिक ही बचा होगा टू रिवाइज. ठीक है, तो रिवाइज इज ऑल्सो अलॉन्ग विद दैट. नाउ दिस इज फोर्थ relevance. Now next relevance is that ensure overall socio-economic development of the region. Ensure overall socio-economic development of the region. देखिए अभी भी कुछ जो कैंडिडेट्स हैं दे आर नॉट रेगुलर इन द क्लास. दिस आई मीन दिस विल somehow is going to, can say it will go against them only, it's not going to help them, but not because this is your priority, the first priorities in the list, to study and to become and to achieve your goal. और उसी में अगर आप लैक कर जाएंगे तो you can yourself judge your commitment, how much you are committed. See, to decide anything कि ये मैं करूँगा is a different thing, is a much easier to take a decision. नहीं मैं ये करूँगा, but to hold on to that decisions, to pursue that decision is the most difficult task of the life. नहीं मैं 1 जनवरी को हम लोग resolutions लेते हैं from this year. We will go to gym and do exercise and this. We will quit something or this and that. But वो for the first 10 days तक ही चलता है. It shows the lack of commitment, dedications. If you have a top priority, if you want to become this, you have to give your full attention, you have to invest your full potential on this. Rest can wait, but this cannot wait. अगर आपको पूरे दिन में ऐसा अल्टीमेटम में कोई एक चीज ही कर सकते हो पूरे दिन, बाकी चीजें नहीं, एक सबको you have to sacrifice all things for one. So this should be that, na? You cannot sacrifice this for any other. Yes or no? You should have to be self-motivated, because as the day passes, the competitions of an examination's nature is also changing, and competition is also becoming tough day by day. Changing module of the exam, nature of the exam. That's why you need to be, if you want to be at the current stage of the examination, at the cope up with the examinations, you have to be in fight. You have to be in queue. It does not matter that you are scrolling, you are running, you are walking, but still if you are scrolling also, it means you are in the race. You cannot stand still in the race. Right? Clear? So be motivated and try to not skip the class, and be punctual in the class, continue with the class, revise everything daily. You have just one job to do: study, and then write an exam. Clear? Chaliye. So ensure overall socio-economic development of the regions. This will also be relevance by the cooperations with the neighbor. It will ensure that when everyone is cooperating, it will enhance the regional economy, because India being the not only democratic, but in the South Asian region being a developed and one of the biggest economy in the world. So it will help by cooperating with its neighbor that the regional economy will be developed, right? And once the regional economy will be developed, regions such as Bangladesh, Nepal and all these South Asian regions, so then it will help to grow the world economy also. Yes or no? Right? Right now. A peaceful, stable, constructive environment. You are writing under the influence, ensure that a peaceful, stable, constructive environment in the periphery is vital. Periphery. Do you understand the meaning of periphery? Just margin nahi, periphery is not margin. Boundary and margin is fencing is a you can say that it's curving. Premises may be there. Periphery. South Asian is a periphery to it. Boundaries and premises. Margin is different thing. Periphery is vital in a peaceful, stable, constructive environment in the periphery is vital for increased investment. Vital for increased investment, comma, trade and economic activities. Which in turn results in prosperity. Which in turn results into prosperity. ठीक है? Right? Do you understand? अगर South Asian region में, if there will be peaceful environment, if there is no violent environment, so it will, the peaceful environment always give an opportunity for the development. जब शांति बनी रहेगी, वॉर नहीं होगा, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं होगा, तो एक good environment will be there to economic prosperity through trade, and this will lead to the development of the regions. So right, so this is the relevance of Gujral doctrine, and by this we have come to an end to our discussion of foreign policy by I.K. Gujral. Now there is a questions related to this has been asked in 2013 in 200 words, which is of 10 marks questions. Now the question is, what is meant by Gujral doctrine and does it have any relevance today? This is question been asked in 2013 mains. जी बोलिए. Right? So, and this question is of a GS paper. Right? So you have a word limit of 200 of 10 marks. So what should be the approach? हाँ, relevance today. आपने जो लिखा वो भी today's relevance हमेशा ये होता है. Relevance means in the contemporary world. How relevance means the period has been passed, but how that doctrine is helping today also. Whether it is helpful or not. Whether, that's why it is asking whether it is. Does it have any relevance today? So it will help in neutralizing the anti-India rhetoric. It is helping in socio-economic development in periphery where there will be an investment, right? It will help to become India power through cooperations. So you have written down the relevance. Okay? But how to approach? आप इसको approach कैसे करेंगे? Do you understand the demand of the questions? पहले तो हमें क्वेश्चंस के डिमांड को समझना है. तो देयर इज नॉट अ वन क्वेश्चन इन दिस, देयर इज अ टू क्वेश्चंस. पहले ये समझिए, इट हैज अ टू क्वेश्चंस. द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज, इट इज आस्किंग अबाउट द गुजराल डॉक्ट्रिन. व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड बाय गुजराल डॉक्ट्रिन? राइट. सेकंड, डज इट हैव एनी रेलेवेंस टुडे? इट मींस वी हैव टू राइट द रेलेवेंस आल्सो. सो टू दिस वुड relevance can be written in 50 to 100 words. You cannot dedicate more words to this. Yes or no? Now rest 100 to 150 words would be on introductions and what do you mean by the Gujral doctrine should be done. ऐसे लिखा जा सकता है. Bifurcations अगर हम कर लें इसे तो, right? So now here we have to write what do you mean by Gujral doctrine, right? So there is no need to write that 1997 he came and there is no historical perspective and no political perspective. Coming directly to the Gujral doctrine. Now in this 150 word, हाँ आप क्या कह रहे थे? Conclusion can be used in relevance. Or in a one or two line you can write that though it has been, but through the Gujral doctrine, principles of a Gujral doctrine which inculcate the principles of NAM also is been through which India is pursuing its foreign policy. So now how you can write? अभी आपके पास पहले का ही एक क्वेश्चन है. And only out of these, only two have shown me the answer. One in the form of essay and one in the form of GS. अभी तक आप लोगों ने वो ही नहीं लिखा है. Let's see. So in this Gujral doctrine, first we need to write down the introductions in 1 and 2 line. What does the Gujral doctrine talks about? So it is related to India's and its neighborhood policy and in a South Asian policy. Right? Change the paragraph and write what are the policies that if any neighbors would take a step of one, we can have a yard. Invest or help them without in returns. You have written before the 5 principle, you have written the doctrines. Yes or no? So that should you can write on along with the doctrine also. Now here you have to mention the doctrine also. Those 5 doctrines or principles, what are those? In that 5 principles, 2 or 3 are from the NAM. Should not interfere in the internal matter. Peaceful coexistence. Respect, integrity and territorial integrity. Are you getting my point? This has already been in NAM. So this can be discussed. Then come directly to the relevance. No need to write its achievement, because we do not have a space here to write. No need to write the challenges. We do not have a space. And if you still left with the space, then you can use in very few with the collaborations of achievement and challenges. Then come to the relevance. Now, according to the space, you can explain the points of a relevance. According to the space, if you have a space, then you can explain then how India can neutralize its rhetoric, or if you are lack with the space, you can just mention through this India can neutralize an anti-India rhetoric. It can ensure socio-economic development in the regions. But if you have a space, you can explain in 1 or 2 lines. So all depends upon your space. समझ रहे हैं आप? लिखा जा सकता है इसे? Yes or no? लिखेंगे? हमने ये डिस्कस भी कर लिया कि इसमें क्या मॉडल हो सकता है आंसर का और कैसे लिखना है. You have the sufficient material with you from where you can write down the answer. मटेरियल है आपके पास? क्लास में हमने सब डिस्कस किया है, ठीक है? एनी डाउट मैम? इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट यू कैन आस्क इन द क्लास, नॉट एन इश्यू. ठीक है, तो एक्सपेक्ट करता हूं मैं आप लोगों से आंसर. ठीक है, चलिए. आप डेली अगर एक एक आंसर भी लिखते हैं ना तो इट विल बी हेल्पफुल, राइट? बट मेक वन थिंग श्योर कि आप देख करके नहीं लिखें, पढ़ लीजिए. जस्ट अ सिंपल क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर. No theoretical perspective has been asked in GS paper. IR has a 2 perspective. We have discussed in the very first class, right? One which is related to the political science and IR options, where we need to understand the theoretical perspective and thinkers of related to IR. Idealism perspective of IR, realism perspective of international relations. This is not required in GS. Now what GS required is just stick to the topic. If the question is discuss the India-US relations in a very nutshell from the historical till present, you have to just write down. No theory behind the relations, no approach behind the relations, no thoughts behind the relation has not to be written in examination. ठीक है, तो जीएस पेपर में आपसे एक्सपेक्ट किया जा रहा है कि जो क्वेश्चन है जस्ट स्टिक टू दैट. बट इफ यू हैव एन ऑप्शंस ऑफ PSIR, political science and international relations, in that it is expected that you should know the theories behind the IR also. That's why the GS IR and subject IR is totally different. इसको पढ़ करके आप वो नहीं कर सकते, बट हाँ वहां अगर आपने अच्छे से किया then you can write down the answer. Getting my point? How many of you have an optional as a political science? आपका क्या ऑप्शन है? What is your options? Optional. Anthropology, not decided. Geography, right? So you can understand the relevance of this topic. If an over you वहां पर आपने पढ़ा अच्छे से तो you can answer this. बट इफ यू थिंक दैट हमने जीएस पेपर के रिस्पेक्टिव में इंडिया IR को पढ़ा है तो वी कैन टैकल द पॉलिटिकल साइंस. नो, इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू हेल्प बिकॉज देयर इज अ टोटल डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स फॉर IR. हाँ, इफ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड यू कैन टेक पॉलिटिकल साइंस ऑप्शनल. हाँ, दिस इज अ theoretical base. I'm not saying you have to take. My point is that IR consists in a optional paper also, right? But that is quite different from this paper. This IR portion of GS constrain only 20% of that optional paper. Rest 80 has to be different level. This is quite different. Okay? Any doubts? Now you can understand this through also, that in polity we have a polity as a paper too, right? And we have to study the polity and political science also. But the constitutions, the governance part which we are studying in paper 2 is just one portion, section in the political science, and that is also quite different. There we need to understand the theories behind that. So don't mix with the options कि हमने एक जगह कर लिया तो बस हो गया, आपने, क्योंकि दोनों का नेचर बिल्कुल अलग है क्वेश्चंस का आंसर करने का। जी yes, obviously, sure, because we need to write the answer accordingly with the demand of the questions. What are the demands, how it has been asked and everything. Are you getting my point? Yes or no? Clear? So try to write the answer, then we can discuss that. Okay, chaliye. So now we will move to the next, that is Modi foreign policy. Now we can see the shift in the foreign policy of India. Okay. So as we know that Mr. Modi came into power in 2014, right? And from there the Indian foreign policy was changed. Now what are the points through which it has been changed? Now we will see. The first policy of Narendra Modi is India first, and this India first policy is been regulated through the retail democracy, right? It is done under retail diplomacy. Till recently, you can say that till the Modi has not come into power, this retail diplomacy is not been used frequently or not in an aggressive mode, right? And as soon as the Modi came into the power, he started a policy following the policy of retail democracy along with the mainstream diplomacy. Okay, now we need to understand, you may get a confused what is retail democracy, right? So we can have an idea. Okay, now as in general, अगर आप जानते हैं तो whenever any foreign ministers or India's or any foreign country leader came to any country, right? So they has to interact with the foreign officials, delegations, foreign ministers. यही होता है जनरली. अब मोदी साहब कहीं बाहर जाते हैं तो यूएस के प्रेसिडेंट से मिले, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट से मिले, मीन्स डीलिंग विद द गवर्नमेंट. This is a main stream of diplomacy, but he has started a retail diplomacy. It means that along with leader to leader diplomacy, he has started a new diplomacy, that is leader to people diplomacy. Leader to people. It means whenever Prime Minister Modi visit any foreign nations, they have a schedule just not to meet with the leader of that nation. Along with that, he used to interact with the businessman over there, the spiritual leader of that, the diaspora of that, the people of that nation. Through labor, through interact with the worker, right? Scholars, workers. And through this, he tried to build his own personality, aura, impress them, right? So this retail diplomacy somehow come to play as a soft power, encouraging them to invest in India, come to India, making India as a superpower, India first policy. So along with the leader, he is meeting with the people also. अभी आपने देखा होगा जब भी मोदी साहब बाहर जाते हैं, क्राउड को जरूर वो ये करते हैं, interact with the crowd. He interact with the spiritual leader. He can go to that any nations, beat drum, नहीं चर्चेज या कहीं भी जाते हैं वहां पर मिलते हैं, because he want to interact with the individuals also, people. So leader to people interactions is a retail democracy, and leader to leader democracy is a mainstream democracy जो जनरली लोग फॉलो करते हैं. But through the retail democracy diplomacy, Prime Minister Modi tried to develop an relations with the people of that nation, and this will help in building up an aura of India, status of India, right? The main primary focus of any nation is national interest, security, prosperity and status. So Modi ji has started to develop and build a status of India at the international level. Yes, exactly. Yes, this is the way how he has, means not only developing an diplomatic relations, but through this it will help to develop a पर्सनल रिलेशंस, अ कनेक्टिव रिलेशन. तभी आप देखिए बहुत बार लीडर आते हैं, उनको झूला झुलाते हैं, गोलगप्पे खिलाते हैं. दिस इज नॉट विच इज नॉट अ, यू कैन से दैट लॉ, राइट, बट दिस विल हेल्प टू डेवलप अ पर्सनल रिलेशंस. एक इमोशनल कनेक्टिविटी हो जाती है, राइट. आप मुझसे मिलना है, मैंने आपको ऑफिस में मिलाया, बैठा नॉर्मली बात किया, देन यू कैन गो. बट इफ यू गो समवेयर एल्स, यू मीट देम, ही आस्क फॉर योर डिनर, नहीं नहीं बैठिए लंच करके जाइए, ये देखिए, क्लिक अ फोटो, एंड तो यू विल फील कनेक्टेड टू मोर टू देम देन मी, बिकॉज गिवन अ पर्सनल अटेंशन. So this retail democracy helps in building a personal relation, and through that personal relations, Modi is in command to negotiate India's policy in a strong way. सॉफ्ट पावर पहले हमारे सॉफ्ट पावर जब था, बट इतना व्यापक नहीं था. But it's not in a vast, the soft power is being used. हाँ, very rare, but he has started using software also. That's why we have discussed that this Parliamentary Committee on External Affairs has says that now India should aggressively follow the policy of soft power along with the hard power, because the time, जैसा time आ रहा है in the international order, the hard power is not going to play a role. The more, if you want to attract anyone, you have to attract them culturally, civilizationally, spiritually, religiously, right? So these type of things will really help in India. Okay, so this is first policy of India, doctrine of Modi, that is India first. And India first policy of Modi is run through the, is by the retail democracy. ठीक है, रिटेल का मतलब समझते हैं ना, देयर आर टू टाइप, होलसेल एंड रिटेल. होलसेल जहां पर इकट्ठा माल मिलता है, और जहां पर एवरी पीपल विल नॉट बी इन अ पोजिशन टू अवेल, बट रिटेल वो हर शॉप जो है वहां भी गए, कोई भी गया, 2 रुपए 4 रुपए सामान, इंटरैक्टिंग विद द जनरल पब्लिक. बट होलसेल में जनरल पब्लिक से इंटरैक्शंस नहीं है, यस और नो. तो सिमिलरली लाइक इन द रिटेल डिप्लोमेसी, जहां पर लीडर मोदी साहब क्या कर रहे हैं, पीपल मीटिंग हो रही है, वर्कर से, स्पिरिचुअल लीडर से, मॉन्क से, स्टूडेंट से, एड्रेसिंग द स्टूडेंट्स ओवर देयर, एड्रेसिंग वर्कर्स, एड्रेसिंग डायस्पोरास, एंड along with the leaders. ठीक है, so India's first policy of Modi has been run through the retail diplomacy. Any doubt? समझ में आ रहा है? मैम हाँ, ये भी चल रहा है, तो आपको बस यही है कि यू जस्ट नीड टू फॉलो द पेपर. न्यूज़पेपर में फ्रॉम द वेरी फर्स्ट क्लास आई इंसिस्ट in every class, everywhere, wherever I take class, that the newspaper is very important. You cannot skip that paper, newspaper. ठीक है, चलिए. So write down foreign policy of Modi. The first is Modi doctrine, that is India's first policy. India first policy. Write down Modi's idea, Mr. Modi's idea of foreign policy. Mr. Modi's idea of foreign policy or diplomacy is that, comma, is that it should not just be perceived as, it should not just be perceived as the art of the government to government interaction. Perceived as the art of government to government interaction. ठीक है, but more as a leader to people interaction. But more as a leader to people interactions, which is also known as retail diplomacy. Which is also known as retail diplomacy. Is it clear? Next point. In retail diplomacy, now the questions may be asked in examinations that how Modi has moved its India's first policy. There you need to write down this retail, through the retail diplomacy, and you need to elaborate that retail diplomacy, because there is a trend, or that the policies of foreign India's prime ministers has been asked. There is a, like Gujarat doctrine hum dekha, NAM dekha, right, which is an important policies of Modi. So this can be asked. In retail diplomacy, the state leaders interact with a wide spectrum of scholars, monk, in bracket you can write spiritual leaders, workers, students, and many more. Yes, no, not this is Indian, वो तो इंडिया नेशनल पॉलिसी, मैं इंडियन फॉरेन पॉलिसी की बात कर रहा हूँ. जैसे इस बार जब वो वहाँ चले गए तो आप देखिए वहाँ के बिजनेसमैन से भी मिले, वो मिले ना यूएस में. उन्होंने क्राउड को भी, जैसे ट्रम्प के टाइम में उन्होंने डायस्पोरा को ये किया था, एड्रेस किया था. तो आप या फिर कहीं जाकर के किसी cultural functions or cultural promotions of the Indian nations if he is doing from the next time, so it is not a criticism, it is or it is not an something he is not aligned to. He is always focused on his principles, that he has to make India as a first. This work always working towards that. So every step of Mr. Modi foreign policies towards that. Okay. Next point. Retail diplomacy not only enhance retail diplomacy not only enhance the approachability of the leader but also helps in developing very strong interpersonal relationship. ठीक है, so you are understanding this point, how interacting with the people of the another nations can help in developing interpersonal relationships. ठीक है, इसको एग्जाम्पल्स आप समझिए कि दैट सपोज यू हैव वेंट टू योर एनीवन्स हाउस, रिलेटिव के यहाँ आप जाते हैं, राइट? तो दो तरीका, एक तो आप जिनके पास गए हैं उनसे बस इंटरेक्ट करके आप चलिए मिल करके, राइट? और सम you have also realized that some guest used to interact with the worker of that house, children or staff of that house, and that built them a very good reputation. She is a very nice person, सबसे मिले, सबसे बात की. So developing and this retail democracy helping to develop a good reputation and building an interpersonal relationship, and this will help, this retail diplomacy helps in delivering or negotiating India's policy very strongly, right? Yes, so it is upon the government of that, na, if through that activities it can be hamper the relation. And the second thing is that suppose if some politicians who went to the foreign on a foreign visit, he just interact with the leader and came back. So the analyst, the scholar of that nations will be having a idea and analysis only between the talk between the leaders and agreement. But if it went to further and interact with the leaders, peoples, workers, scholars, monks, you can say that researchers, scientists, so it opens a wide spectrum of discussions. It opens a wide spectrum of speculations. He has interacted with us. What does this mean? How it is going to help? How it has enhanced the relations? समझ रहे हैं आप बात? तो इससे एनहांसमेंट, एक इंटरपर्सनल रिलेशनशिप डेवलप होगी, गुड रिलेशनशिप विल बी डेवलप, कि आप लोगों से भी मिले वहां के जाकर के. देन what will happen, that the people of that nations coming into touch with the leader, they will have their own perceptions. एक perceptions built होने लगा. There are two types of perceptions can be built related to anything. One which others tells us about, second hand experience जिसे हम कहते हैं, and the another way that is first hand experience, direct interacting with the leader or anyone, we can develop our own perceptions whether good or bad. And the first hand experience, development of first hand experience is more vital. तो वहां पर कंट्री में क्या होगी, मान लीजिए कि 10 लोगों की कंट्री है, तो 5 या 6 हैं जो उनसे इंप्रेस हो गए, तो डिवाइड हो गई ना. Now leader has to plan accordingly with the needs of the people, because being of a democracy. क्योंकि डिक्टेटरशिप तो है नहीं कि आप पब्लिक ओपिनियन को नेग्लेक्ट कर सकते हैं. द पब्लिक ओपिनियन प्ले अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल इन डिप्लोमेसी, because you have to come again into the power. And this can be seen, one of the best example, that because of the public opinion the USA has to withdraw from the Vietnam War. बहुत क्रिटिसिज्म हुई वहां पर घर पे due to the using of orange agent. हमने देखा था the chemical which has been used in Vietnam War. So because of this relationship, there will be a perception generated in the public also, and this will help in enhancing the relationship. Yes or no? Clear? So you have written interpersonal relationship. Next point, that Modi's strong personal bond, Modi's strong personal bond with world leaders, comma, world leaders, comma, helps India to bargain its national interest. Its national interest at the highest level possible. At the highest level possible. Is it clear? So this is the first policy of Modi ji, that is India's first through retail democracy, diplomacy. India first. Modi has also favored India's first policy. This is not new policy. This is not Modi is not a inventor of India's first policy. पहले भी रही है, वाजपेयी जी के टाइम पे रही है इंडियाज फर्स्ट, इंदिरा गांधी के टाइम पे हमने देखा इंडियाज फर्स्ट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ इक्वल फुटिंग. लेकिन इंडियाज फर्स्ट पॉलिसी का टू परस्यू विद दैट पॉलिसी, एवरी लीडर हैज अ डिफरेंट वे हाउ टू मेक pursue with that policy. Modi ji had developed a retail democracy to pursue India's first policy. Are you getting my point? ठीक है? Any doubts? Is it clear, ma'am? ठीक है? Can we move to the next? कोई doubt है? India Dubai, India UAE. We will start just after this. It may be tomorrow or from day after tomorrow. We are going to start the India's relations with the neighbor. अब हमें ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा. We have just understood everything. We will see the background, historical perspective, and then we will switch to the current. ठीक है? We will also study there are some development. Yes, there is a new development, NATO plus. है ना? We will also study the NATO plus. The US want India to join the NATO plus. But what are the challenges in joining India? What benefit India will get? Right? So one of the criticism, basic criticism is India will lose its sovereign space. And we have discussed what is sovereign space. So that we will discuss. सब करेंगे. Clear? Now we will see the Indian diaspora as a bridge between India and the world. You understand the meaning of diaspora? प्रवासी. And who include into the diaspora? Diaspora किन अगर बात करें हम तो who, what consists in diaspora? Yes. So diaspora means NRIs, peoples of Indian origin, and overseas citizen of India. Now these two, NRIs and OCI, is been merged and in 2015 through Citizenship Amendment Act, right? OCI and this has been merged, and the new term, that is OCI card holder, has been introduced. Okay? This is a political perspective of this. Now India, Modi ji of his diaspora policy as a bridge is considered diaspora as an oxygen to Indian diplomacy. Because of this, because Indian diaspora has a space, or you can say that availabilities of the Indian diaspora you can find in every part of the world. Existence of diaspora in every part of the world, right? And they are not only being a citizen of the nations, but they are also being a part in the development of that. They are playing role, vital role in developing of the nations, making growth to the nations, whether we talk in the terms of USA, Canada, Australia, Europe, इंडियन डायस्पोरा हर जगह है, वो एक वाइटल रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं वहाँ के इकोनॉमी को ग्रो करने के लिए, डेवलप करने के लिए. NRIs, नॉन रेसिडेंट इंडियंस, PIOs, पीपल ऑफ इंडियन ओरिजिन, OCI, ओवरसीज सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया. ये जो दोनों हैं, ये दोनों को मर्ज करके OCI कार्ड होल्डर कर दिया गया, राइट. नाउ द डिफरेंस बिटवीन दीज टू वी हैव सीन, एक बार और देख लेते हैं, हु आर OCIs एंड NRIs, राइट. तो OCIs, as name suggests, that overseas citizen of India. It means a person whose roots in India, जिनके रूट्स इंडिया में, जैसे कमला हैरिस, कमला हैरिस, ऋषि सोनक, ठीक, सुनीता विलियम्स, इनके रूट्स क्या थे, इंडिया हैं. मीन्स either their father or their parents or their grandparents or great grandparents belong to India, but they have migrated to that nations for the employment, trade, businesses, study, for anywhere, right? And they have acquired a citizenship of that nations. Sorry, ऋषि सोनक, ब्रिटिश प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऋषि सोनक. हाँ, क्या पूछ रही हैं आप, मैं समझ रहा. USA, कमला हैरिस, सूडान. हाँ, बहुत हैं ऐसे. मलेशिया के प्राइम मिनिस्टर इंडिया से हैं. मॉरिशस के प्राइम मिनिस्टर इंडियन रूट्स के हैं. ऐसे बहुत मिलेंगे आपको जो इंडियन रूट्स के हैं, जो अच्छे पोजीशंस पर पहुंचे हुए हैं, ठीक है. So this person's roots in India, but having another or other country passport. ठीक, जैसे कमला हैरिस, she has a root in India but she is a US citizens. ऋषि सोनक, British citizens. अक्षय कुमार, ब्रिटिश सिटीजन्स. आलिया भट्ट, कैनेडियन सिटीजन्स, राइट. कटरीना कैफ, ब्रिटिश सिटीजन्स. So they are OCIs having a passport of a different country, but their roots are linked with the India. किसी भी तरीके से वो यहाँ से चले गए और वहाँ पे फिर वो शिफ्ट कर गए, राइट. If we talk about the NRIs, so the persons having Indian passport but residing outside India. Like for a study, that is educations, for job, business, it is. वो जिनके पास इंडियन पासपोर्ट है, जो इंडियन सिटीजन तो हैं लेकिन वो फॉरेन में रह रहे हैं, वहाँ के सिटीजन वो हैं हुए नहीं अभी तक, राइट. एजुकेशन पर्पस से या फिर आपके बिजनेस के पर्पस से, जॉब के पर्पस से या प्रोफेशनल, एनी थ्रू. So all comes under the diaspora, Indian diaspora. So they playing a very important role where they are living and they are contributing their skill in developing the nations. Yes or no, right? So Modi ji, this connection of a diaspora has started from the Vajpayee government. He is also having a policy of to connect the diaspora, right? The very first प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस 9 जनवरी was started in India to attract the diaspora to connect themselves through the Indian roots, their roots. हमने देखा government, how the government through the policy has attracted the diaspora when we have seen the institutions playing a role in making India's foreign policy. भारत को जानो क्विज, राइट, इनक्रेडिबल इंडिया, तीर्थ दर्शन यात्रा, तो ये सब इंडियन गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी है टू कनेक्ट द डायस्पोरा टू देयर रूट्स. Scholarship program for the Indian diasporas in India to make them studies here. Diaspora students are allowed to take admissions IITs, medicals, study in India. So the government trying to indulge the diaspora in the to connect themselves through the to their roots. Clear? And the reason behind connecting themselves to the roots, to gain an investment from that. The main purpose is that the well-to-do diasporas who is having a command over in the nations, they should also invest in India, come and do businesses in India. And through this diaspora policy, Modi ji wants the reverse of brain drain into the brain gain. What is brain drain? Yes, स्टडिंग हियर, IITs करते हैं यहाँ से, मेडिकल यहाँ से करते हैं, टेक्निकल डिग्री MBAs यहाँ से करते हैं, और फिर वो फॉरेन में गूगल में जाकर काम कर रहे हैं, फेसबुक में काम कर रहे हैं, एप्पल में काम कर रहे हैं, एंड दे बिकम देयर सिटीजन्स. दिस इज ब्रेन ड्रेन. यहाँ पर उन पर एक्सपेंस लगा रही है इंडियन गवर्नमेंट, लेकिन उससे फायदा नहीं. तो थ्रू दिस पॉलिसी, थ्रू एंगेजमेंट ऑफ अ डायस्पोरा इन इंडियन पॉलिसीज, मोदी जी वांट अ ब्रेन गेन. Those who are migrating to those, तो मतलब वो कंपनी जहां करके इन्वेस्टमेंट करे, इससे क्या होगा, वहां जाने के बजाय the students, it will have their own country to work on. Investing in India, and they are not the only who invest in India, but one of the part who invest in India through FDIs or FIIs. They are also the part. Not only the diaspora is investing in India, other are also. Along with that, that diaspora is a potentially to invest in India, because they have a much, बहुत सारे ऐसे diaspora हैं जो वहाँ पर अच्छा खासा position hold करते हैं in the business, right? And to reconnect them emotionally through the route, this is helping. And because of this role, Modi ji considered diaspora as an oxygen to Indian foreign policy. इंडियन फॉरेन पॉलिसी का ऑक्सीजन बताते हैं मोदी जी डायस्पोरा को. Is this clear? Any doubt? Anything you want to ask related to this? अभी पूछ लिया कीजिए सर. नहीं? Now, the policy Modi ji has adopted to interactions with the people, diaspora, has two reasons to interact with him. So now we will see the reasons how it is attractive, right? So we can say that there is two reasons. The first reason has again two sub reasons. First, to connect them diaspora to their roots emotionally. This is the country where you have born, or where your father or is a lineage, okay? Or we have, and we know that India follows a just solely policy. Solely हमने डिस्कस किया था, just solely and just sangarika. There are two type of policies of a connecting any citizens from nations, related to birth and related to blood. So just solely means related to birth. On the basis of birth, India considered anyone as a citizen or diaspora, irrespective of their blood or clan or race, because India has a 6 racial distinctions in India: Mongolite, Western Forest, Brassiforus, Negrotos, Aryans. ठीक है, this you will study when you will study the Indian society and everything. So India is trying to connect the diaspora to their roots, and through these connections they want to show, or they want that the diaspora should be acquainted with the problems India facing in problems faced by India in 21st century. तो एक बार डायस्पोरा रूट से कनेक्ट होंगे, उन्हें ये आइडिया होगा कि इंडिया क्या प्रॉब्लम फेस कर रहा है, एंड देन द लीडर विल कन्विंस देम टू हेल्प इंडिया इन रिमूविंग दैट प्रॉब्लम्स एंड इन सॉल्विंग दैट प्रॉब्लम्स. एंड हाउ दे विल हेल्प? थ्रू इन्वेस्टिंग. Economy is the only way through which a country can prosper and resolve all its issues, चाहे वो malnutrition हो, health issues problem हो आपके, या फिर illiteracy हो, employment हो, या फिर nourishment का problem हो, that all can be tackled through the investment economy, and diaspora being a potential to that. So first Modi ji try to connect themselves to the root and then aware themselves about the problems which India is facing in 21st centuries, and through them convince them to help India in resolving that issues. So this is the first reason why Modi ji has opted for the diaspora to be engaged in foreign policy. इसलिए जब भी वो फॉरेन में जाते हैं डायस्पोरा से जरूर एक मीटिंग होती है. Yes or no? So because of this reason, and this is one of the reason of, or you can say the one of the way of a soft power, personally attracting themselves through charisma, leadership, emotionally आप इनसे जुड़े हैं, आइए यहाँ, जैसे आप सेलेक्ट हो गए, राइट, आईएएस हो गए, यू गॉट पोस्टेड इन योर ओन डिस्ट्रिक्ट जहाँ से आपने पढ़ाई की है, तो स्कूल वाले आएंगे ना, सर आपने यहाँ से पढ़ा, देखिए आप यहाँ पढ़े, आज स्कूल की हालत देखिए. आप थोड़ा, क्योंकि यू हैव बिलोंग टू दैट प्लेस, so you can reconnect yourself to that place. Yes or no? And then you can help them in coming with the problems. So this is same with the diaspora, connecting themselves to their root, making aware about the problems of the country and convincing them to resolve that problem or solving that problem with the government. First reason. ठीक है? Now second reason is a message to the country where diaspora is residing. तो पहला reason तो connecting with the diaspora. Now the second reason is connecting or is a message to the country where diaspora is residing, जहां वो रह रहे हैं. Because many nations have a public has a grudge against the diaspora or a different nations people. आप बहुत देख सकते हैं वायलेंट इरप्शंस कभी इंडियन को मारना, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में बहुत होता है, ये रेसिज्म की वजह से इंडियंस को मारना हो रहा है. तो this the second reason that India try to convince the country where the diaspora reason that if you take care of the Indian diaspora, they will help you, they will take care of your electoral positions. आप इंडियन डायस्पोरा पे ध्यान दीजिए, इंडियन डायस्पोरा आपको हेल्प करेंगे पोजीशंस, इंडियन आई मीन पॉलिटिकल पोजीशंस होल्ड करने में. यस और नो? बिकॉज दे आर बीइंग अ पार्ट ऑफ इलेक्टोरल सिस्टम्स in their country. No, they will not allow the Indian, but the diaspora who are residing there, who has a citizenship of the nations, it means they are eligible to vote, and they will vote to that particular politicians who will take care of them, who will ensure that any violence should not be erupted against them? Yes or no? इसका example आप देखिए बहुत अच्छा है. When Trump was a president of USA, Modi ji has went to USA and he has addressed the diaspora over there. और ट्रंप ने भी डायस्पोरा का कार्ड खेल करके he tried to gain the vote of the diaspora in his favor. So Modi ji giving message to the country that you should take care of them, and if you will take care of them, they will also take care of your electoral positions. And through these mechanisms, we say that through these policies of diaspora, Modi ji want to gain a transformations from a brain drain to the brain gain. ठीक है? This is a policy of Indian diaspora as a bridge. Any doubt? नहीं? समझ में आ रहा है? क्लियर हो रहा है चीजों का? ठीक है. तो अब जब भी आप इस तरह की एक्टिविटीज कहीं अगर आप देख रहे हैं फॉरेन पॉलिसी में, तो उसे आपको इस पर्सपेक्टिव में लेकर चलना है कि द लीडर इज यूजिंग सॉफ्ट पावर टू बिल्ड इंडियाज इमेज, टू अट्रैक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट इन इंडिया. दैट वो तो हमेशा होगा, बहुत लोग तो ये भी किए, उसका क्या कर सकते हैं? रोक थोड़ी सकते हैं किसी को. Many has joined also, many has came to acquired the citizenship also. Acquiring the citizenship, many has acquired the citizenship. Yes. Yes. You cannot force anyone na, to have an overall. Yes, if lesser, if there is a demand of citizenship of any nations, it means your country is being prosperous, getting developed. आज बहुत लोग चाहते हैं कि यूरोप या कनाडा या ऑस्ट्रेलिया का सिटीजनशिप मिल जाए. Their policies is also very tough to give citizenship. Yeah, it's good if no one is, but that is a how you can ensure them. ठीक है? And those who are leaving Indian citizenships are those who are been applied for the citizen of America or Canada or Australia or US, Europe. They are settling over there. ठीक है? Any doubt? Right? चलिए, so now we will write down the Indian diaspora as a bridge between India and the world. देखिए, Modi ji has adopted democracy. Write down the heading: Indian diaspora as a bridge between India and the world. Write down: Modi ji has adopted democracy, comma, demography, democracy, demography. Do you understand the meaning of demography? Population, related to populations. And demand as a key drivers to highlight India's economic power abroad. To highlight India's economic power abroad. Next point. According to Modi ji, diaspora is the oxygen to foreign policy. Diaspora is an oxygen to foreign policy. Clear? Now write down reason to address diaspora. Address diaspora. First, फर्स्ट रीजन, ठीक है। नाउ अंडर फर्स्ट रीजन वी विल ब्रेक इट इनटू द पॉइंट्स, ठीक है। तो फर्स्ट रीजन, फर्स्ट पॉइंट, मिस्टर मोदी एड्रेस डायस्पोरा Mr. Modi addressed diaspora to not only reconnect with them as a messenger from their homeland. Messenger from their homeland, but also to convey to them the problems India faces in the 21st century. That problems India faces in 21st century. Next point. He intended to convince to the diaspora. He intended to convince to the diaspora that they can emerge as effective stakeholders, in the problem faced by India. Next point. We are still writing the first reason, ठीक है? According to Mr. Modi, the diaspora contributions. The diaspora's contributions is imperative for India's development story. And its rise as a global power. So this is the first reason connecting to the diaspora, ठीक है? Now write down the second reason. Mr. Modi address to Indian diaspora in foreign countries. Mr. Modi address to Indian diaspora. Second reason. We are writing the second reason, ठीक है? Mr. Modi address to Indian diaspora in foreign countries is a message to the government of those countries. Is a message to the government of those countries, comma, if the government take care of this constituencies, you understanding the meaning of constituencies? Constituency का मतलब समझते हैं आप? नहीं? How many of you are not in a position to understand the meaning of constituencies? बस, और बाकी लोग समझ रहे हैं? प्रांत नहीं। चलिए पहले लिख लीजिए फिर बताता हूँ। टेक केयर ऑफ दिस कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज, बस एक लाइन है, लिख लीजिए फिर बता देता हूँ। Countries, that is, if the government take care of these constituencies, comma, they will take care of the government in election. They will take care of government in elections. चलिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी बता देता हूं, तो एग्जाम्पल के थ्रू समझते हैं, ठीक है। आप कहाँ से हैं? हाँ जी, आपसे ही पूछ रहा हूँ। जम्मू से। जम्मू में आप जिस एरिया में रहते हो वहां का एमपी पता है आपको? संसद जिसे बोलते हैं, कौन है? कोई नहीं है। अच्छा, पहले था तो कहाँ कौन था एमपी? ओके, वो किस क्षेत्र से थे? दैट इज नोन एज अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी। कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी मीन्स क्षेत्र, विधानसभा क्षेत्र या फिर लोकसभा क्षेत्र। कैंडिडेट कंटेस्टिंग इलेक्शन फ्रॉम विच एरिया, उसको कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज बोलते हैं। अब समझ गए? यस या नो? नहीं? हाँ, एमपी या एमएलए जो इलेक्शन फाइट कर रहे हैं, तो जिस एरिया से जिन पॉपुलेशन को, एज वी नो दैट एवरी 10 लाख पॉपुलेशन, ठीक है, पर एक एमपी एमएलए होता है। तो ये जो 10 लाख पॉपुलेशन है, दे आर रिसाइडिंग इन एनी एरिया, किसी एरिया में होंगे ना वो, तो दिस इज नॉन एज अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी। तो सिमिलरली यहाँ क्या कह रहा है कि उन क्षेत्र को जहां पर डायस्पोरा मेजॉरिटी में है, अगर आप उनकी सिक्योरिटी रखते हो तो आपको इलेक्शंस में आपको ही वोट करेंगे। तो इफ यू आर टेकिंग केयर ऑफ दैट दिस कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी, दे विल हेल्प यू इन इलेक्शन। अब क्लियर हो गया? एनी ट्रिक है? सो दिस इज द सेकेंड रीजन टू एड्रेस द डायस्पोरा, ठीक है। दिस इज द two reasons we have written down. Now write down the point under the diaspora. Now we will see what the gain will get from interacting with the diaspora, right? So Mr. Modi intention is to, Mr. Modi intention, now we are not writing under the reason, the reason is over, okay? We are writing a separate point under diaspora. Mr. Modi's intention is to attract the interest of diaspora back home. Mr. Modi's intention is to attract the interest of diaspora back home, that is to India, ठीक है, and affect a reversal from affect a reversal from brain drain to brain gain, reversal from brain drain to brain gain, refer डिफरेंट मैंने बोला, डायस्पोरा बैक होम अफेक्ट रिवर्सल फ्रॉम ब्रेन ड्रेन टू ब्रेन गेन, ठीक है, ब्रेन ड्रेन टू ब्रेन गेन। अभी ये चल रहा है, राइट? दिस इज अ पॉलिसी, बाहर लोग जा रहे हैं काम करने, इंडिया वांट्स, मोदी जी वांट दिस शुड बी रिवर्स्ड, हमारा नुकसान नहीं हो, ब्रेन हम ट्रेन कर रहे हैं उनसे, वी गवर्नमेंट इज इन्वेस्टिंग इन ट्रेनिंग। हाँ, इस इन्वेस्टमेंट ताकि लोग बाहर न जाकर यहीं काम करें, एप्पल में भी वहां काम कर रहे, गूगल भी यहाँ फैक्ट्री खोल रही है, ऑफिसेस खोल रही है, टू ब्रेन ग्रेन, ठीक है। yes, because of demand, so this will help na, this will help in this gaining a brain gain। अब वहां अमेरिकन सिलिकॉन वैली में काम करने लोग जा रहे थे, अब अगर फेसबुक की ऑफिस यहाँ होगी, गूगल की ऑफिस यहाँ होगी, ट्विटर के ऑफिस यहाँ होगी, तो लोग यहाँ ही काम करेंगे, पैकेज तो वही देगा, लेकिन काम इंडिया में कर रहे हैं, तो इंडिया में भी एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट हो रहा है। हाँ, बट राइट नाउ मोस्टली मोर टेक्निकल पर्सन्स आर शिफ्टिंग टू अमेरिका, टू द फॉरेन नेशंस, जहां भी स्विट्जरलैंड, स्कॉटलैंड, कनाडा, यूएसए, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, फॉर द पैकेजेस दे आर गेनिंग अबाउट 2 करोड़, 2.5 करोड़, 4 करोड़ की पैकेज है। इंडियन कंपनी तो अफोर्ड नहीं कर रही अभी। इफ इन्वेस्टमेंट वुड कम इन इंडिया, they can also be given, right? And second, they are been tried to infuse in them emotional connections with the diaspora, India roots. Is this clear? ठीक है, तो this is the second policy of the Mr. Modi, that is Indian diaspora as a bridge to India and the world. Now we'll see the third policy, that is economic diplomacy as a key to great power status. ठीक है, key to great power status, right? As we know that for any nations, the national interest inculcate security of that nations, prosperity of that nations, and self growth or status, right? Yes or no? Clear? जैसे आप अभी अगर आज के न्यूज़पेपर अगर आपने पढ़ा हो, तो देयर इज एन आर्टिकल रिलेटेड टू द पेमेंट सिस्टम इन world order payment systems, where most of the nations countries are denying or accepting the payment in yuan. Do you have any idea which country follow the yuan? China. Why yuan? China currency. So why? Because the world over the currency has gained its importance, trust, belief, status of the country has been China as a country, they have developed a status in world order. It is weakening the position of American dollar hegemony, जहां पहले सिर्फ अमेरिकन डॉलर में ही ट्रेड हुआ करता था, इन्वेस्टमेंट या ट्रेड या अब उसको चैलेंज कर रहा है युआन. तो इंडिया इज ऑल्सो ट्राइंग टू बिल्ड अ policy or trade to deal or to conduct a trade in Indian rupees, and that will only happen when it will build a trust at the world order. And to building a trust, the economy is one of the basic principles. उसी को बोलते हैं, हाँ वो सिनोनिम है, रेनिम्बी और यान वो एक ही चीज है, ठीक है. So through this economic policy now, and Modi ji knows that to develop for the prosperity of any nations, dependency of on the domestic is not going to help. सिर्फ domestic, सिर्फ internal पे dependency is not when advisable also. So along with the domestic investment, along with this, Modi ji also wants an FDIs, FIIs, foreign direct investment, foreign institutional investment, FPIs, foreign portfolio investment, institutional investment, FPIs, foreign portfolio investment. बुद्धा एशिया ऑफ लाइट, गुड आफ्टरनून, गुड आफ्टरनून. हिंदी में पढ़ाइए ना सर. एक क्लास बाइलिंगुअल चल रही है. इट इज एन इंग्लिश मीडियम क्लास बट इट इज अ बाइलिंगुअल, तो मैं सिर्फ हिंदी में नहीं पढ़ा सकता, दोनों आई कैन मैनेज ऑन बोथ, राइट. ठीक है। तो ये इकोनॉमिक डिप्लोमेसी की तो वो इंडिया का स्टेटस बनाना चाह रहे वर्ल्ड ओवर में, राइट। एंड एज वी नो, टू डेवलप एंड स्टेटस ऑफ एनी नेशंस, इट हैज टू बी इकोनॉमिकली वाइबल, इकोनॉमिकली स्ट्रांग होना पड़ेगा। आप इकोनॉमिकली बहुत स्ट्रांग होंगे, इंडिपेंडेंट होंगे, तभी तो आपका एक स्टेटस होगा सोसाइटी में। अंबानी जी के स्टेटस है या नहीं? मेरा स्टेटस है नहीं। इकोनॉमिक in comparative to that, I'm talking about comparative to that, he has a status because he is economically viable, he can invest, he can take an investment also, वहां सिक्योर है पैसा देना, इन्वेस्ट करना। रिलायंस में whenever you go with the share market, तो you find a trusted company, टाटा में पैसा लगाना, रिलायंस में पैसा लगाना। कोई एक नई कंपनी आज बनी उसमें कोई पैसा लगाएगा नहीं, वाई? देयर इज नो वाइबिलिटी, ट्रस्ट नहीं है, इकोनॉमिक नहीं है। तो बीइंग एंड फॉर दिस द मोदी इज कंडक्टिंग एन इकोनॉमिक डिप्लोमेसी बिकॉज ही नोज दैट इकोनॉमिक प्रॉस्पेरिटी कैन नॉट बी मेट विथ ओनली विद द डोमेस्टिक इन्वेस्टमेंट। घरेलू उत्पाद या इन्वेस्टमेंट से ही सिर्फ प्रॉस्पेरिटी नहीं आ सकती, उसके लिए बाहर से पैसा चाहिए। अब जब आप बाहर से पैसा लेकर आएंगे, फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट लेकर आएंगे, देन यू कैन जनरेट एम्प्लॉयमेंट, एजुकेशन, इन्फ्लेशन पे आप कब कर पाएंगे, बेसिक नेसेसिटी ऑफ द पुअर कैन बी फुलफिल्ड, राइट। तो थ्रू दिस ही इज डूइंग दिस, राइट। और इसके लिए इन्होंने क्या क्या किया? स्किल इंडिया चलाया, मेक इन इंडिया की पॉलिसी चलाई, एंड फॉर टू प्रोवाइड एंड resources in form of human resource, he has many programs to get an skilled in professional, right। जैसे आप देख लीजिए, लोग इंडिया से वेस्ट एशिया जाते हैं, जैसे गल्फ कंट्री जाते हैं, दुबई चले गए, यूएई चले गए, सऊदी चले गए, कतर चले गए, ओमान चले गए, फॉर द प्रोफेशंस, राइट, टू जॉब। कुवैत चले गए, क्यों, किस लिए जाते हैं? वह इन विच फॉर्म? कोई प्लम्बर की तरह जा रहा है, electricians, there is a demand, huge demand of skillful labor, so this is also a loss of human resource, वहां जाकर वो काम कर रहे हैं। रेमिटेंस तो आ रहा है बट स्किलफुल लेबर की शॉर्टेज जरूर है यहाँ पर। तो जब आपके यहाँ स्किलफुल लेबर की शॉर्टेज है तो कोई क्यों आएगा? दे ऑल्सो रिक्वायर्ड एन स्किलफुल लेबर फोर्स, यस और नो? तो कंट्रीज और द नेशंस, government trying to develop the skill, तभी नीति आयोग के अंडर में अटल इनोवेशन मिशन चलाया गया। दिस इज रेगुलेटेड थ्रू द नीति आयोग, अटल इनोवेशन मिशन, स्किलफुल इंडिया, टू प्रोवोकेशंस, यू कैन से दैट प्रोफेशनल डिग्री की जगह पर यहाँ पर आईटीआई की तरह चला रहे हैं लोग। Polytechnic, do you know the polytechnic? We have a polytechnic college, right? ITI college, जहाँ skillful vocational training दी जा रही है। Do you know that there is two types of educations? One is vocational and one is professional. Professional जहाँ पर आप knowledge gain करते हैं, vocational आपको skillful knowledge दी जाती है। So India is focusing, government is focusing on vocational training to skill the workforce. And why? If any nations come into, they should not hire a foreign nations. यहाँ पर जब वो आएंगे तो उनको लेबर ही नहीं मिलेगी, चीप लेबर। अब लेबर यहाँ की नहीं होगी तो चीप नहीं होगा, तो why they will invest? Are you getting my point? So through this he is trying to achieve the स्टेटस ऑफ इंडिया एट द ग्लोबल स्टेज थ्रू इकोनॉमिक डिप्लोमेसी। इसलिए वो हमेशा एलन मस्क से भी बोल कर आए, चलो भैया ट्विटर, वहां चलो दुकान खोलो। फॉरेन बिजनेसमैन से भी वो मिल रहे हैं, हर जगह इनवाइट कर रहे हैं लोगों को, कम एंड इन्वेस्ट इन इंडिया, विल प्रोवाइड यू द बेस्ट एटमोस्फेयर, एनवायरमेंट। लेबर लॉ में भी देखिए चेंजेस हो रहे हैं। वन ऑफ द चैलेंज फॉर द इन्वेस्टर्स इज लेबर लॉ। स्ट्रिजेंट लेबर लॉ बहुत है यहाँ का, इंडिया का। तो इंडिया इज मेकिंग चेंजेस ऑन दैट लेबर लॉ, ठीक है। थ्रू आ रहा हूं मैं आप तक, थ्रू इंडक्शंस ऑफ गुड गवर्नेंस और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गवर्नेंस, आईसीटी, इंफॉर्मेशन एंड कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी, राइट। सिंगल विंडो क्लियरेंस भी खोला इन्होंने। पहले किसी भी बिजनेस को स्टैब्लिश करने के लिए आपको डिपार्टमेंट टू डिपार्टमेंट जाना था फॉर द टेकिंग परमिशंस. Now you can go to the site of any government, you can take a permissions. Ease of doing businesses. So these are the policies to attract investment in India. कंपनीज आएगी तभी तो यहाँ एम्प्लॉयमेंट. अब एक गवर्नमेंट कितना एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट कर सकता है? यस, इजी वे ऑफ रजिस्टरिंग इन जीएसटी, फाइलिंग, हर चीज को इजी कर दिया गया थ्रू डिजिटलाइजेशन. So this fourth revolution, this has question been asked also, how the fourth revolution is helping in India in its governance. So this fourth revolution, that is digital revolution, has also helped in prosperity of the India. ठीक है, हाँ आप बताइए. अब क्या इजी तो कुछ नहीं है, ऐसे थोड़ी वहां वो बैठे हैं पैसा लेकर के आओ मुझसे और लेके जाओ. हाँ तो इसलिए तो सिक्योरिटी तो उसी बेस के लिए न्यूट्रलाइज किया जा रहा है किसको? इंडियन थ्रेट को, माओइस्ट एंड ऑल दोस, राइट. नाउ आफ्टर एब्रोगेशन ऑफ 370 द कश्मीर इज आल्सो बीन डेस्टिन्ड एज एन इन्वेस्टमेंट. हाँ कश्मीर, वहां इन्वेस्टमेंट हो रहा है, होटल इंडस्ट्रीज खुलेंगी, फैक्ट्रीज लगेंगी, लोकल्स को एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिलेगा. दिस इज बीन यूज्ड एज ए सॉफ्ट पावर. यहाँ पर लेबर फोर्स पॉलिसी को अमेंड किया जा रहा है, लेबर लॉज, इट इज वेरी स्ट्रिजेंट लेबर लॉज. जो गवर्नमेंट क्लियरेंस सिस्टम है दैट इज आल्सो मेकिंग इजी, ease of doing business through ease of doing businesses through single window clearance. Red tapeism को, this will help in curbing the red tapeism also. Do you understand the meaning of red tapeism? लाल फीता शाही, नौकरशाही. जो एक बार आप ऑफिस में गए, सर ये मेरा लाइसेंस बनवा दीजिए, ये लाइए, आज साहब नहीं है, साहब छुट्टी पर हैं, मैंने पास कर दिया, ऊपर चला गया. a small issue is resolved and it take lot of time because of the stringent policies, rules, which is known as the red tapeism. Red tapeism, R-E-D, red tapeism. So through this window clearance, ease of doing business, this will also help in attracting the investors. कि अब हमारे यहाँ बिजनेस करना बहुत आसान हो गया, आप आइए तो आपको, और इससे क्या, इससे खर्च भी कम होंगे. अब ऑनलाइन आप कहीं ऑफिस जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, सारे क्लियरेंस हो गए, तो आप यहीं से कर लीजिए, डायरेक्ट जीएसटी अप्लाई कर लीजिए. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट, समझ में आ रहा है? ठीक है, आप भी बताइए. बुद्धा जी, बुद्धा एशिया ऑफ लाइट. ठीक है, चलिए राइट डाउन. Economic diplomacy as a key to great power status. Meaning earning नहीं, क्यों? हाँ तो ही इज पेइंग देम ना, वो यहाँ से अर्न भी तो कर रहा है, तभी तो पे कर रहा है. और जो आप यहाँ से अर्न कर रहे हो वो आप इंडिया में टैक्स भर रहे हैं. यूएस का टैक्स थोड़ी दे रहे हैं आप, यूएस टैक्स स्लैब बेस में थोड़ी है. इंडिया में यहाँ जो वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो यूज कर रहा है वो गवर्नमेंट को टैक्स दे रहा है. कंपनी बाहर के तो वो तो अर्न करेगा ही, बट इंडिया में तो फायदा हो रहा है, बहुत लोग अर्न कर रहे हैं, बहुत लोग एम्प्लॉयमेंट भी तो है. डिजिटलाइजेशन की वजह से एजुकेशन फार फ्लंग तक जा रहा है. दिस इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ डिजिटलाइजेशन. यूट्यूब के थ्रू द एरियाज व्हिच बीन अनटच्ड, अभी तक जो वहां भी लोग पहुंच रहे हैं. ठीक है, यस और नो? चलिए, सो राइट डाउन इकोनॉमिक डिप्लोमेसी एज ए की टू ग्रेट पावर स्टेटस. द फर्स्ट पॉइंट, Mr. Modi diplomatic engagement. Mr. Modi diplomatic engagements. Diplomatic engagements driven by the economic thrust of making India. Engagements driven by the economic thrust. Thrust, T-H-R-U-S-T, thrust of making India a leading commercial power. Making India a leading commercial power. कमर्शियल पावर मीन्स ट्रेड हब बनाना चाहते हैं, यहाँ पे बिजनेस लाना चाहते हैं. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, अकॉर्डिंग टू मिस्टर मोदी, domestic growth rates cannot be boosted. According to Mr. Modi, domestic growth rate cannot be boosted by domestic initiatives alone. Domestic initiatives alone, and that geostrategic imperative arising out of external engagement with rest of the world, are key to India's growth story. Are key, K-E-Y, key to India's growth story. Next point. Imperative means important or it is necessary. Next point. Mr. Modi's economic diplomacy is based on the model where domestic growth, Modi's economic diplomacy is based on the model where domestic growth is propelled by FDI propelled means thrust. Propelled मतलब समझते हैं ना, thrust. And propelled means empowered thrust, जिसको push किया जा सके, उठाया जा सके, right? Propelled by FDI in manufacturing sectors. Propelled by FDI, foreign direct investment, in manufacturing sectors like Make in India, Skill India. Skill India, right? Next point, core of Mr. Modi's economic diplomacy are now we need to write down the core, right? The first is skill, skill, skill. Second, speed, scale, 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 scale. Marketing, reforming, rationalizing, simplifying, streamlining, and modernizing. And modernizing. Making into the streamline, main point at the focused, focusing, making to streamline. Okay, so these are the core of a Modi's economic diplomacy. ठीक है, any doubt? कुछ पूछना है यहाँ से from or till here? नहीं, everything is clear. And from the now onwards, मतलब we can understand in this way that from today's onward we have entered into the current sphere of international relations. ठीक है, तो यहाँ से अब आपको पेपर फॉलो करना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, स्पेशली रिलेटेड टू द इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस, जहाँ इंडिया पार्टिसिपेट हो, स्टेक होल्डर हो, या किसी भी पॉलिसी के थ्रू इंडिया इज बीन अफेक्टिंग, right? So that has to be followed. After the class, when the class will be over, now your job is will only to add the development, recent development in the relations of India and the foreign nations. जो भी टॉपिक मान लीजिए हम करेंगे, ठीक है, जैसे इंडिया बांग्लादेश, इंडिया अफगानिस्तान, इंडिया, हाँ, MOUs, agreement, anything, any recent development, or India becomes any party to any new regional groupings, or there is a new development of groupings, yeah, any developing has taken any steps, now what its implications on India? श्रीलंका ने कोई ग्रुपिंग ज्वाइन कर ली, उससे इंडिया का क्या रिलेशंस होगा, उस इंडिया के नेबर्स में एनी strategic thing is happening, right? How it will impacting India's, so this kind of, so इसमें जितना भी होगा, just you need to add the current affairs. Are getting my point? जैसे कनेक्टिविटी हो गया, सिक्योरिटी के रिस्पेक्ट में हो गया, तो आप नए करंट को ऐड करते चले जाएंगे, तो पीछे का जो भी होगा that will be, that means that can not be considered also. If you are in your writing in the mains, if you contemplate with the current affairs, then it will be considered okay. ठीक है, is it clear? So this here we have discussed the economic diplomacy as a key to world status. Now we are left with the soft power, is India's power, right? Now how Modi ji has used a soft power, like declaring 21st June as an international yoga day, it helped, right? यहाँ पर हम during the COVID-19 भी देखेंगे how there is a developed a model known as India model. जहाँ pharmacy, right, that hydrochloroquine tablet, hydrochloroquine tablet, which is used in malaria treatment, is also been using as a precautions in COVID. India supplying those tablet to the other nations, that is under the India model. Hydrochloroquine ऐसा कुछ नाम है, that tablet that has been treated taken for the malaria के treatment में use होता है, उसको precautionary measures की तरह doctors are advised to use in the COVID. Sorry, हाँ हाँ एज एन एंटीवायरस टू प्रिकॉशनरी मेजर्स, क्योंकि इसमें और कोई किसी को पता नहीं था कौन सा टैबलेट यूज कर सकते हैं, क्या मेडिसिन है. So that has been more effective. It is not absolute that is curing, but more effective. So that has been used. How it has been functions. ठीक है. Then after this we will discuss neighborhood is key to the global power aspirations. The same policy which has been followed by Gujarat also, Gujarat doctrine also. Many has followed that the India being an giant in the, and in this India has transmitted its role from big brother. Earlier the India is known as a big brother to its neighbors. Big brother बड़े भाई की तरफ पहले भूमिका निभाता था इंडिया. During in the Gujarat doctrine, of what you can see is basically is an role of a big brother. कि वो कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, हमारा काम है to help them. So Modi's policy in the neighbor is transforming the status of big brother into the partnership, or you can say that into the development. Clear? Then faith diplomacy, believing on using the spiritual, religious, cultural dimensions to generate faith, to use that as a diplomacy. ठीक है. So these are been left now, which we will discuss, and then then there are two more, that India is a rising power or a middle power, right? Then strategic of omni alignment. Earlier India followed a policy of non-alignment, not to align to any nations. Now India is following policy of omni alignment, means aligning with every power of the world, trying to connect with every individuals, every grouping, establishing relations with everyone. That is omni. Omni means, yes, omni to all, everywhere. Omnipotent, omniscient, आपने सुना होगा ना. हाँ, so it means that connecting, aligned with everyone in the world in relations. Earlier non-aligned, not connected to any pole, now connect, because it's a multipolar world order, नहीं. तो यहाँ सभी के साथ relations बनाना है. So India is following a strategy of omni. So these are left. This we will continue in the next class, and then we will start with our India-Bangladesh relations, India's neighborhood relationship. ठीक है. चलिए, for that big we will discuss in the next class. अब यहाँ से हमारा काम बहुत कम हो जाएगा. Just we need to understand the current part. एक evolutions और वो समझ लेंगे. Then we need to understand the current part and write down the current part related to that. ठीक है. Somehow understanding the position, नहीं बस जियो स्टेशनरी, आप उसमें से पोजीशंस रिलेशन समझ लें. ठीक है. बाकी चीजें ज़्यादा हेल्पफुल नहीं करेंगे, नहीं उस तरीके से नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन हाँ मैपिंग में करेगा जरूर. इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस कैसे, उसका इंपॉर्टेंस है, क्या स्ट्रैटेजिक है, दैट ओनली, नथिंग एल्स. ठीक है. एनी डाउट? ठीक है. चलिए, थैंक यू फॉर बीइंग हियर. सो विल डिस्कस इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. कल फिर बाकी डिस्कस करते हैं. ठीक है. थैंक यू एंड हैव अ वेरी नाइस डे.